Happy New Year, guys. Here we are, first video of 2025, and this comic seems kind of apt because we're moving forward, and this comic kind of moves. I don't know where I was going with that analogy. I'll shut up. This is Power Rangers The Return. This was sent to me by my friend Chris. Chris, thank you once again. And yeah, Power Rangers The Return, it was another Boom Studios book this isn't in continuity with the Power Rangers comic timeline or any of the new Power Ranger books that have been coming out as of late. The comic itself it was kind of treated as a Kickstarter, and it was written by. And it's actually interesting because the writer of this is kind of a big deal. Who's the writer, you ask? It's Amy Jo Johnson, the original Pink Ranger. Yeah. So the original Pink Ranger wrote this book. So I was already excited for this. I didn't know this book was coming out in trade already. It was a happy surprise on... I think this came to me on Christmas Day or Eve. I can't remember, but it definitely was like a book that I was like, oh, this happened. Like, I knew this was going on. I didn't know it came to trade, is what I'm saying. So what is this comic? This book basically is kind of a alternate timeline book where we follow the original Power Rangers after they had retired after an event that caused the death of Tommy. We also have the death of Trini, which they don't really go into specifics, but it's kind of hinted at she had cancer in here. So yeah. Basically, this is set in a timeline where the original pitch was, what if the original Power Rangers who left came back? Like, again, Trini, who was it, Zach and Jason, what if those guys came back? And they actually have a great explanation for, like, this book in general, where in here, they actually bring up something I didn't think of, and I swear to God, I, like, sat there for, like, a good minute going, I never thought of that. Basically, they talk about the whole... If you guys remember, in storyline, Trini, Zach, and Jason basically left to be part of this peace conference in Switzerland to represent, the U.S. or some shit like that. In reality, they were just getting paid very low, and Harry Saban was treating everyone pretty bad, and they wanted to leave the show for other stuff. So, anyway... and they actually bring up something where Jason's like, how do we move forward? How do we keep moving forward? Like, how will you guys, how the Power Rangers continue to exist? And to which Billy brings up, you guys can teleport. You guys can come back anytime you want. And I'm like, I literally put the book down and, like, sat there for, like, I never thought of that. Like, literally, their morphers can teleport. They can go anywhere. Why was it... That didn't seem like a great idea when you think about it. Anyway. So, in here, the Rangers there was no replacement of the Rangers, and basically there was an event that Rita and Zed, who, I gotta hand it to Amy Jo Johnson. I know she was an actress and all that, but she actually paid attention to what was going on in the show, because, like, they actually talk about the whole thing of, like, Finster giving Rita that love potion to give to Zed. They both became a couple, but in here they actually nuke the command center and kill Zordon and Alpha, leading to the Rangers to lead an assault on their palace, and it led to a major death in Tommy. They also bring up a cool version of the Wave of Goodness. If you guys remember that in Power Rangers in Space, where Zordon sacrificed himself and unleashed this wave of positive energy that purified everyone that was evil. They do a version of that, and I thought that was really cool. But the villain in here is Selena Repulsa, the daughter of Rita and Zed. How many kids did they have, right? Like, they had Thrax where was it? Fucking Power Rangers Operation Overdrive, I think. Then there was a few other iterations of Rita and Zed's kids. So, this one in here, Selena Repulsa, has discovered that her mother's still alive. Because, here's the thing, Rita didn't die from Zed. She wasn't killed by the Wave of Goodness like Zed was. What turns out is that Rita got killed by Kimberly, and that really messed her up, and also on top of that with losing Tommy. So, yeah, I'm not trying to spoil the whole book, but there are some twists and turns here and there that really are pretty cool. I really like this. This comic's only 4 issues long, and I usually have talked about multiple times on here, talking about how I've had this problem with miniseries where they feel like they're too short. Here, I gotta hand it to Johnson. She knows how to write a 4-issue comic and not feel like the book is not like too short, because it could have easily been 4 issues, and it could have easily been a end way too fast. It actually felt pretty well paced for a 4-issue miniseries. I will say, though, that, like, there is a lot of bias because this is more of Kimberly's story than anything else, which is fair because, well, look who's fucking writing the fucking book. It's, it's the actress who played Kimberly. Of course, we're gonna have a little bias here. There isn't a lot with Jason, which, considering the actor, I don't mind. Then you had, you have some other stuff, like with Zach and Billy, which doesn't really go anywhere. It's, again, more of a Kimberly-focused story, which is fine. I actually really, I don't mind that Kimberly gets to have the forefront. I also do appreciate that Amy Jo did not have Tommy or Trini in here out of respect for the actor and actress who had been gone. And it actually helps with the story. Although I do feel like Trini's death feels a little... like, really, that, cancer... Like, again, it's heavily implied it's cancer that killed her. So I was kind of like, It also ends on a cliffhanger, which I would not be opposed to read. But then again, I don't know what's going on with Hasbro and Power Rangers. So I don't know if Amy Jo Johnson will ever get to write that sequel, if she so chose. But I think this is a solid comic nonetheless. Again, is there a little bias towards the Pink Ranger? Yeah. But again, look who's writing the book. So that's fine. And it's actually written really well. She actually the other thing is that Amy Jo Johnson clearly understands the dialogue of these characters. Like, even though, yes, there is some swearing and it is a little more adult, it doesn't also go into edgelord. That's the other thing I like about this book, is that while it's a little more, like, again, Johnson understood her homework of this, the audience is grown up. The audience are adults reading this book. So I'm going to have them say a few swears. There is going to be deaths, but they're not going to be, like, overtly dark and edgy. That's what I was afraid of for a hot second. I was like, are we going to go into edgelord territory? Thankfully, that was not the case. It actually feels like a proper Power Rangers tribute than Once and Always. Do you guys remember that? That was cool, don't get me wrong, but, like, at the same time, I'm like, you guys clearly were working on a very thin budget. But still, yeah. Do I recommend Power Rangers The Return? Yeah, absolutely. This is a great this is a great comic. Amy Jo Johnson clearly has a lot of I don't know if reverence is the right word, but she knows her shit with Power Rangers. I mean, obviously the actress, but again, you can have an actress do a role and not give a shit about anything. So once again, I'd like to thank Chris for this, and once again, I'm Mr. Multiverse. I'll see you next time in the Multiverse.